Hey, everybody, I'm Dr. A, Steve Alexander. It's Tuesday, January 30th. Welcome to the award-winning RotoWire Fantasy Hoops podcast, brought to you by Underdog and FanDuel. This is Jonas. I used to work with him at NBC. We have a lot to cover after a really busy 24-team Monday night. Did somebody say Ben Simmons?
My goodness.
Jonas, you tried to jump the gun there, my man.
Jump the gun, man.
Well, it's a very complicated, very intense process. And, I do all the production myself here. And, I sometimes I just make things more complicated than it needs to be.
I know how it is, man. How many pods have we done together? What, 200-300 roughly?
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
More than Ben Simmons games played, essentially, right?
Yeah, we've done more pods than Ben Simmons has made free throws. And we will do more pods today than Ben Simmons will make a three-pointer this season.
That's right.
Jonas, Ben Simmons played basketball last night. He made 5 of 5 shots. He had 10 points, 8 rebounds, 11 assists, a steal and a block. He played 18 minutes. It was a Brooklyn romp. I mean, they destroyed Utah 147 to 114. I'm getting text messages from famous rock stars at like 2 a.m. like, did you see what Ben Simmons did? And I'm seeing headlines on big, huge websites like Ben Simmons looks amazing. Did this Ben Simmons thing move the needle for you at all on him?
Honestly, a little bit. I mean, think about it. 0 turnovers. He pushed the pace, looked explosive. And I mean, if you look at the Nets the last 2 months, like they're probably the least happy fan base. I know you have an argument for Atlanta, you got Charlotte, but like the fan base is irritated. They need something to get excited about. And I feel like this front office is going to lean on Ben Simmons to be that excitement factor because like we can't continue to see Dinwiddie shoot 20 shots a game and make 3 of them. You know what I mean? The Nets need something. They don't even have their own first round pick this year. They got to, lean their hopes on something. And it's going to be Ben Simmons. The question is how many games is he actually going to play? That we're halfway through the season. The over-under is probably going to be set around 20, honestly, for him. So total wild card to see what happens. But if you have him, you've been stashing him. I know you're excited right now.
Well, to quote myself at 2 o'clock in the morning, replying to Brian from Guster, I could not care less. No, I mean, it is interesting, but we heard all the same garbage about Ben Simmons in the preseason. Oh, he looks great. He's pushing the pace. He's running the floor. He's getting rebounds. He's getting assists. Still can't hit a three-pointer. He still can't make a free throw. Shooting is not going to be 5 for 5 every night. There's still a lot of other mouths to feed in Brooklyn. I need to see it a few more times before I'm going to get excited. And even if things do go well from here on in, I mean, he's still going to hurt you in those other categories. And I'm done, Jonas. I'm just done. I'm out.
I mean, your excitement level is a lot more than it was 2 days ago, right? It's a step in the right direction.
I mean, it's the first time we said Ben Simmons' name in a long time. So,
right.
All right. So here's what I'm taking away from this. I am not running to the waiver wire or walking there to get Ben Simmons. You, on the other hand, would put him on a roster in the right situation. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And I still have him too. I have him in 1 9-cat league and I have him in 1 points league. And that's the one where I'm most excited about because like his steals and blocks numbers haven't been there this year, but like in previous years, he was the kind of guy that can get you probably about 2 combined steals and blocks in like 30 minutes. So like I said, my excitement's a lot more than it was 2 days ago, but I still have my hesitations about how many games he'll actually play.
Yeah, so I can get behind him in a points league a lot more than I can in any other type of league. Right. So I can at least get with you on that. Meanwhile, your man, Spencer Dinwiddie, who has been hit or miss all season, he's kind of been in kind of a mini disaster, I think.
Right.
0 for 5, 2 points, 8 assists. Dennis Smith Jr., 12 points, 5 assists. Lonnie Walker, 19 off the bench. Cam Thomas is back to being good Cam again. I'm sure that means bad Cam is just around the corner. He had 25, 7 rebounds, 4 triples. So normally when Spencer Dinwiddie seems to be going away, Dennis Smith Jr. is kind of like coming on. But now with Ben Simmons in the middle of all this, they're all a little bit messier than they were before.
Yeah, but if you rewind to the beginning of the season when Ben was actually playing, they were really hyping up the combo between Ben Simmons and Cam Thomas. Like they were really talking up those two playing together. So in terms of excitement going forward, I would have Cam Thomas number 1, Ben Simmons number 2. I think Lonnie Walker number 3, and I think Dinwiddie number 4. Like I still think there's going to be plenty of minutes for Lonnie Walker because you have to factor this too. The trade deadline's in less than 2 weeks. Royce O'Neal's gone, right? Dorian Finney-Smith probably gone. There's going to be a ton of minutes in Brooklyn. And then that's going to open things up for Dennis Smith Jr. as well, who's had some really good moments this season. He's had trouble staying healthy. So there's a lot to like about Brooklyn at this trade deadline for fantasy coming up.
All right. Jonathan Isaac last night started for the Orlando Magic. People were loaded up on him in FanDuel and other DraftKings and whatnot. 2 points, nothing else, 8 minutes. Unknown injury, Jonas, according to RotoWire newsfeed. Pretty sad. It was his first start in 4.5 years or something.
Right.
So I think people were getting excited about it. And John Isaac, for me, falls into the same bin as Ben Simmons. Wake me up when when something good happens for an extended period of time. I do feel bad that he got hurt. I do feel bad it didn't work out. Also, Anthony Black kind of caught fire. But that team has 4 point guards. So I don't know that you can really get excited about anyone, but any thoughts on anything to do with the Magic last night?
I just wish they would have said up front that Isaac was going to play 8 minutes. I think the undisclosed unknown injury is BS, if I'm being honest. I feel like this was a plan from the get-go. Hey, we're going to let you play in the back-to-back, but it's only going to be one stint, and we're going to call it done, right? The NBA's injury reporting has made it so you can just make up an injury on the whim, and there's just no accountability. You know what I mean? We've seen it with Embiid. We've seen it with Portland. There's just no accountability. Sometimes they'll throw a fine here and there, but it's a joke. You can just say knee soreness or injury management and then pull a player. So I just wish they would have been upfront with what they were going to do. But at some point, I do feel like Isaac is going to be unleashed, but I still think we're at least a month away from that happening.
I feel like we're more like
couple years,
8 months, 10 months, next year, next season.
Right.
Little late side note I saw on Twitter last night. Jalen Williams got hurt at the end of the OKC game, sprained his right ankle, could not put weight on it. That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
To me, that means he's going to miss a week or two, if I'm guessing. But
right.
We don't have that timetable yet. He could be fine. It could be a situation where it really doesn't swell very, very much overnight. But either way, are you a Lou Dort guy or an Isaiah Joe guy?
I'm going to be a bit of a wild card here and say neither and go with Cason Wallace. Not the most exciting player, but because of low usage, obviously. But over the last 2 weeks, he's a 10th round value in 19 minutes per game, 7 points, 3 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 1.3 steals, 0.4 blocks, and 1.4 triples. That's in 19 minutes. That's on 61% shooting from the field. Like his shooting this entire season has been unreal. And he's just one of those guys where like in 2-3 years, you're just asking yourself, how the heck did the Thunder get this guy? You know what I mean? Like they're just going to be so ridiculously loaded in 2-3 years when these guys mature. And it's just scary. Like we're talking multiple finals runs for OKC, in my opinion, in the next couple of years.
That's a solid take. I'm going to go with Isaiah Joe, but I think I like Cason Wallace maybe more than Lou Dort. Isaiah Joe is sort of a 3-point machine when he gets opportunities. And hopefully Jalen's not hurt, man. I love Jalen.
I know. He's a stud, man.
Jonas, I got a new microphone. I just broke it out today for the first time ever. And check this out. Underdog Fantasy is the #1 platform for NBA best ball and DFS player pick'em contests. If you haven't tried Underdog yet, new Underdog users receive a first-time deposit bonus up to $100 and a free 6-month subscription to RotoWire with promo code RWNBA. That's promo code RWNBA. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog app today and use promo code RWNBA to claim your free RotoWire subscription and deposit bonus.
Phenomenal. I think
you
you have the same microphone as me. You got the Yeti, right?
I got something. I don't know.
I think it is the Yeti.
I found it in a box.
Nice. That's the one we got from RotoWorld. That was our gift back in the day.
You know what? You know what else I found? I had a dude coming over to my office yesterday to help me set up some stuff. I got a new chair. I might be doing my own podcast on Wednesdays from this very spot. I don't know.
Nice.
But he was helping me, and I found 2 Taylor Swift calendars.
Okay.
Under a blanket and a pile of crap on a bed that is to my right in my office. And I bought those like in October for my daughter's Christmas gifts. So I presented those.
Now.
I presented those a month late to my daughters as their Christmas gift yesterday, to help celebrate. We just can't have enough Travis Kelce in our lives, Jonas.
I'm so sick of that.
Okay, moving on to Dallas. Jonas, why does Grant Williams suck?
Dude, he's so bad. Like, when you told me about that stat line, like, I knew he had a good game the other day, but I did not know it was that good. But then I looked over the month, right? So in the month of January, check this out. This is after he had that 27-point game. He's at 6.9 points, 2.8 rebounds, 2.1 assists, 1.3 triples. The dude is terrible at fantasy basketball. Absolutely terrible.
But he wasn't in Boston.
I mean, he wasn't great either, but yeah, I agree. He's definitely gone way downhill. And, a lot of these games,
the good game we're speaking of. The good game was 27 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, a block, and 7 3-pointers on Saturday against the Kings.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody fires him up last night, and he has 3 points and 2 boards in 29 minutes.
So bad. So bad.
Meanwhile, Tim Hardaway Jr. scored 36. Derek Lively had 20 and 11, a steal and a block. Luka had 45, 9, 15, and 2. Jonas, you've had some time to think about this for 5 years. Who do you think won the Luka for Trae trade?
Can you just rewind about 4 or 5 years ago, though? People were actually asking this question, and they're like, I feel like both teams won this trade. And it just sounds so idiotic now. Like, Trae Young's just like a traffic cone on defense. He's not playing winning basketball. He's complaining. He's been whining about his head coaches for the past 4 years. Apparently, he likes Quinn Snyder, though, so good for him. But, man, if anyone still says that's a win-win trade, don't take them serious.
Jonas, I was at the game on Friday when Luka scored 73, and I've never seen anything like it.
Yep.
It was awesome. And my son got to hang out with Dominique, so that was cool. Jaden Hardy last night hit 8 of 9 and 4 triples, 20.7 boards, a steal and a block. Can't really trust him on any given night unless Luka is not playing. I think Jaden Hardy's fine to throw in there. And Jaden Hardy is worth keeping an eye on because he's a good player. And if Donte Exum goes down, or if Tim Hardaway Jr. goes down, or Derek Jones Jr. goes down, I mean, Hardy's going to be in the mix. So I've got him on my 30-deep team. I like having him there. He's on my bench, unfortunately. But he's a guy worth keeping an eye on, too.
Funny story about Jaden Hardy, Doc.
Let's hear
Mavericks. About every week or so, they do these 1v1s at practices, and apparently Hardy just cooks everybody during those. So little fun sides for there. Like you said, he is a true baller. The issue is we don't know when Kyrie's going to come back. Like, we always hear day to day, and then it ends up being 4 or 5 games and then 10 games. You know what I mean? So whenever Irving's out, you could pick up Hardy. But if Irving and Luka are out, man, this is a guy that could pop off for 30 any given night. So you're absolutely right.
Julius Randle separated shoulder for the Knicks. I said that I thought Josh Hart was going to be the guy. He had 8 points, 12 boards, 7 assists in 39 minutes last night. Donte DiVincenzo had 28 points, 6 boards, 5 assists, 5 triples, 42 minutes. Precious Achua started, had 9 and 5 in 33 minutes. Isaiah Hartenstein is back, had 10 points, 4 boards in 16 minutes. What is your take on the fill-ins besides the obvious Jalen Brunson's going to go nuts?
Yeah, I mean, the issue here is that most of the guys you mentioned are already, gone, right? Donte DiVincenzo was a hot pickup several weeks ago. Josh Hart should have already been picked up, even though he can't shoot the ball this season. Precious is just okay. You're not going to be excited about having him on your team, but he's just a warm body getting a ton of minutes. I think the player that everybody should be watching is Quentin Grimes. Decent limited minutes sometimes this season. Sometimes he completely disappears for weeks. So Grimes, 32 minutes yesterday, took 11 shots, didn't play that great, but hey, those minutes are there. I think Grimes is kind of that borderline ad you're looking at over the next couple of weeks, because we don't really have a concrete timetable on Randle. It could be anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 weeks. It's just not really clear yet. So
yeah, they haven't really come out and said, but I picked up Josh Hart the day after Randle went down.
Yeah,
I was close to dropping DiVincenzo about 12 different times this season. So
glad you did it.
So he may be available out there. I'm not messing with Achua.
Right.
Hartenstein, I think once he gets back to full strength, is fine to get back in your lineup. He just, it's going to take him a minute to get back. He's been out a while. But yeah, I like the minutes that DiVincenzo and Josh Hart got. And
right.
Thibodeau won't be afraid to run those guys into the ground.
All right, we got to talk about Charlotte next, though.
What's that?
So we got to talk about Charlotte. There's a lot going on there.
Well, let's talk about Charlotte. Brandon Miller went on a 4 straight game run of 20 points or more. And then he had like 5 and 12 in back-to-back games and really cooled off. And then last night he went off again with 29 points and 7 boards. I feel like Charlotte is going to fold up the tent the second half of the season, and they're just going to let Miller go out there and do whatever he wants. I think Brandon Miller is going to blow up in the second half.
Yep. Here's the thing. So I think Miles Bridges is gone. I think the Phoenix rumors are very, very real.
I agree.
I think PJ Washington, he's gone. And I feel like Nick Richards is gone as well. So that's 3 players that are getting heavy minutes right now on top of all the injuries. Who's left? You know what I mean? It's going to be Miller. Miller's going to get a ton of minutes. The bad news about him is like the defense, it's been good in flashes, but the defensive numbers are not that great. Last 7 games, he's at, 0.6 steals, 0.4 blocks. Like, that's not good enough. But other than that, 20.4 points, 2.6 3-pointers, 5 rebounds, almost 3 assists. Everything else is fine. It's just like he's what would you call him? Harrison Barnes 2.0 right now. Because the defensive stats just haven't been good enough. But
it depends on if you're talking about the Harrison Barnes from 2 weeks ago or the current Harrison Barnes.
I know. That throws it off.
Yeah. Nick Richards, I think, is interesting. Him and PJW both went off on Saturday, and then they both kind of stunk last night, but whatever. Do you think LaMelo's going to get traded?
No, absolutely not. Can you imagine? So I'm from Charlotte. I live like 45 minutes from the arena. He is the only player, I would say him and Miller are the only players that Charlotte Hornet fans care about. If they traded Ball, who are we trading him for, first of all? You know what I mean? Like, there's just no scenario in which he's gone. Obviously, you're concerned about the ankles, but especially with this draft coming up, it's not that exciting. I can't imagine any scenario in which LaMelo is traded. I just can't.
Is there anybody else on Charlotte that you would like?
You cut out the very last second. Anyone else in Charlotte? What?
Uh-oh.
Hold on, your internet cut out for a second.
Freeze is on, man.
You're back.
There we go. We're back. Is there anybody else in Charlotte you want to talk about?
No.
Is there anybody else in Charlotte you want to talk about?
Because there's no one else on the team that's good. You know what I mean? If they traded 3 of those guys that I just mentioned, who are you picking up? There's nobody. I mean, obviously you have players coming back in trades, but right now there's nobody. So,
Did you bite on the Sam Merrill bait a week ago?
I didn't. I wish I did at the time. And then now I don't feel so bad that I don't have him, if that makes sense. Because like you said, he has cooled off a bit.
He scored in double figures in 5 straight games. Then he had 7 points in 17 minutes, like on Saturday, and then 0 points in 7 minutes last night. They pulled the plug on him. I didn't read about an injury. I think everybody's getting healthy in Cleveland, and maybe the party's over. Or was it ever a party to begin with?
For Sam on the season, he's 43% from deep. That's insane. Like, the kid can play, but if the minutes aren't there, what are you doing? Because there's nothing else in the stat sheet that really pops out. Decent playmaker, not the worst rebounder in the world for a guard. But yeah, I think the show is over for now.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. I dropped him. I dropped him to activate Tyrese Halliburton off the injured list last night.
Gotcha.
Jonas, why can't Zion Williamson ever do anything right?
I don't even know where to begin, man. We've been waiting for Zion to put together a consistent season since his rookie year, and he just hasn't. I just don't know if it's ever going to happen for him, man. What's your take on Zion?
He's played 11 games in January. The most rebounds he's had in one of those games is 6. He's the biggest guy out there. He's a power forward. His scoring is fine, right? His scoring right now is fine. His health is fine. It seems like everything is coming together. Everything's coming up roses. But then he gets 3 rebounds a game. He's blocked 2 shots in his last 8 games. He's hit 1 3-pointer in January. He's not really a very good free throw shooter. Mm-hmm. It's just points and a bunch of stuff that doesn't really matter.
This is what I don't get. So I'm a Duke fan, always have been. And I remember watching him at Duke, and there was one game where I think Duke was losing by like 15 or 20 points against Louisville, right? And so they put Zion at center, and then Louisville doesn't score for like 6 or 7 minutes because Zion is just blocking and stealing everything. It's just like, where is that guy? You know what I mean? We just haven't seen it. Like, ever since he entered the NBA, steal rate plummeted, block rate plummeted. He's obviously not in great shape. Like, it's just a shame. Like, the player we saw at Duke would be terrorizing the NBA right now, and it's just not the same guy. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I'm out on Zion. Unless he really like changes his entire lifestyle and he comes back after an off season, he looks like a totally different player, and he's
right.
The motor's back, and he's talking the right game. Like, I can't do it, man.
If it's not happening in New Orleans, just get him out of there. Maybe the grass is greener elsewhere.
His name is so much bigger than his game. It really is.
That's a good way to put it.
Literally. Tackle millions of dollars in prizes all playoffs long in FanDuel fantasy contests. If you're new to fantasy, there's no better time to get in on the action because right now new customers get a 100% deposit match up to $100. Playing fantasy for huge cash prizes on FanDuel is fun and exciting. Just draft your lineup and watch your team move up the leaderboard. Plus, on FanDuel, you can choose from full slate contests featuring multiple games, single game contests, season-long best ball contests, beginner-only contests, which are great for learning the ropes, and more. And when you win, you get paid instantly. So kick off your FanDuel career with a 100% deposit match up to $100. Go to FanDuel.com to start playing for huge cash prizes today. Jonas, as I was sat down at 4:00 in the morning after a nice nap, I kind of checked out. I kind of checked out last night. Didn't really stay up and watch any of the late games, although there weren't really any 2 late games, were there? But I learned at 4 a.m. that Grayson Allen only played 13 minutes due to a sprained right ankle. I've got Grayson Allen about everywhere. Mm-hmm. Is there some sort of group therapy meeting of that I can go to?
Unfortunately, no. And it's funny because I feel like Grayson Allen is the guy that nobody was on coming into the year. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one expected this Grayson Allen. Last I looked, he was like near the leaders among 3-point percentage, and it's like heavy volume as well. And then you start seeing all these trade rumors about Grayson, and I'm like, why? he's Phoenix's best role player. Why is he in trade rumors? So that was odd to me. But like I said, I hope he doesn't miss any time because the dude is an absolute baller right now. And
Dude,
he's the
I think
fourth
he was
spacing
the
that
only
they
guy
need.
in the NBA shooting 50, 40, 90
Jeez,
10 days ago.
that is
Uh,
insane.
So and then it's interesting too because he's 28. He's kind of like he had that reputation of being kind of dirty, and
Right.
nobody really liked Grayson Allen. Well, I haven't seen him do anything shady for a while,
Mhm.
and it's like, ooh, Bradley Beal's coming back. Bye bye, Grayson Allen. No, he's not going away. So it's pretty bizarre. Also, Grayson Allen goes down last night, and guess who went nuts? Eric Gordon, 23 points, 5 triples, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. That's crazy. If Allen's going to miss time, it's Eric Gordon's season again, right?
Apparently, but he was missing in action for about a good month there. You know, how many games did Eric Gordon have where he was putting up 5 or 6 points? And then, you hear all the rumors about him not being utilized enough. Well, dude, get in line. You've got Durant, you've got Booker, you've got Beal. Like, get in line. So
So we need to keep an eye on Grayson Allen's status. Jaime Jaquez, since returning from his injury, 2 games, he's averaging 4 points, 2 boards, 2.5 assists, 1.5 steals, 24.5 minutes. Did we lose our beloved Jaime Jaquez, or is he just on a break and he'll be back good as new here in a minute?
I think this is a great buy low opportunity, honestly, because you got to factor in Jimmy Butler. There's how many games left? 35, 42. Who knows at this point? But Jimmy Butler is going to miss 1 in 3 games most likely. This is just what he does, right? Obviously, Terry Rozier there throws a wrench into things. But man, Jaime, at one point, he was like the leading scorer in the clutch. At one point, I think it was in December or something like that, he was just playing almost every minute for Miami. I still think this screens buy low. He's getting healthy again. Buy low for me for sure.
I like that take. He's such an integral part of what they do. We've been saying it all year. He really doesn't look like a rookie out there with the Heat. He's kind of a team leader. Eric Spoelstra loves him. His teammates love him. It's been a rough couple games. And sometimes players get hurt and it takes them a long time to get back. Sometimes they get hurt and you never see them again that season. I don't think we're there with Jaime. It's just a slow start. So
right.
I agree with Jonas. Now's probably a good time to look into trying to acquire Jaime Jaquez. The Houston Rockets rocked the Lakers last night, 135-119. Alpi Sengun has become the monster we thought he was going to, Jonas, 3 years ago. 31, 12, 7, 2 steals, a block. And then there's Cam Whitmore, 20 points, 6 boards, 2 triples. His last 4 games, he scored 20, 19, 24, and 12. He's actually had a pretty big month. I mean, there's some single-digit scoring games in there, but there's also a lot of double-digit scoring games. I think Whitmore's one of those guys that's available in a ton of leagues and should be near the top of people's list to pick up off the waiver wire, in my opinion.
Right. And the thing about Cam Whitmore, too, is if Jalen Green hadn't found his form, his recent form has been actually really good. If Jalen Green hadn't found his form in the last couple of weeks, imagine where Whitmore would be right now. You know what I mean? He's had these little bursts here and there with an inconsistent role. But can you imagine if Jalen Green had continued his downward trend, up until now, Whitmore would be playing a ton of minutes and would be putting like top 75 numbers. But unfortunately, Jalen Green did heat back up. So I still think we're going to see a sporadic role going forward. And that's unfortunate because he is a baller.
What is going on with Jalen Green? Like, where did this come from? Like, what happened?
No idea. Like, there was a couple of articles in The Athletic about, coach losing confidence in him and all this good stuff. And then he comes up with a 10 rebound game. Energy's been a lot better on the defensive end. So credit to him, man. He's really turned it on. So I'm excited about that, especially since having so many dynasty leagues.
What's going on with the Lakers, dude? LeBron, AD, and D'Angelo all scored 23 points last night, which is hard to do. It's hard to have your big three score 23. Right. But that's about all that went right. They're ruining Austin Reeves as we sit here and watch. What is going on?
Well, I'll tell you this. It's hard to have team chemistry when your team is linked to every single available star or role player in the NBA. Like, let's say there's 500 players in the NBA. I think 400 of them have been photoshopped into a Lakers uniform and put into a trade rumor in the last 2 weeks. And she's like, how do you have team chemistry when half your team's on the block? You know what I mean? It's just, I don't get it.
Speaking of half your team's been photoshopped into a different uniform. I was talking to this bartender at a restaurant the other night, local restaurant. She's like, yeah, my brother is in college and he's become one of the top graphic artists for the NFL. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, when it's rumored that a player is going to get traded to another team, he changes their uniforms. And she pulled up this video on her phone, like showed it to me. And he has all these Instagram followers. Like he got hired by the Falcons. He's just this college kid that puts jerseys on players. Like that's where we are, kids. Today's world, you can do anything. You just got to be the first one there. Okay. Are you a pick up any Grizzly guy right now, Jones?
Okay. You did this last year with the Thunder, right?
Pick a Thunder, any Thunder.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, the Grizzlies are probably the hardest team to gauge right now, right? Because like 2-3 weeks ago, everyone's like, they're throwing in the towel. It's over. And then they went on this win streak, and now they're back in the playoff picture. It's like, what direction are they going to go? And I feel like I usually have a pretty good read on these things. I have no idea. I mean, do they strap in and go for the 8 seed just to get completely clobbered in the first round 4-0? Maybe. Or do they just throw in the towel and try and get a relatively high pick in a mediocre draft? Those are their two options right now. And if they choose the draft route, I know you put this in the notes for a pod. What happens to JJJ? Do they completely shut him down? I don't think so, but I don't think he plays in back-to-backs. I think his minutes go down to 27, 28 per game, just like they were a couple years ago. And I start thinking we see some fake injuries as well. Like we've already seen some fake injuries in Memphis, right? I mean, you can't have 3 players show up with left hand soreness with doubtful tags, on a random Monday night. This just stuff doesn't happen like that. So that's the reason I'm thinking they're leaning more towards tearing it down and going for the draft. That's where I'm leaning now. What about you?
Yeah, I'm still worried about Triple J being shut down. Your guy. But yeah, no Vince Williams last night, which crushed my soul. No Luke Kennard again. Santi Aldama played okay. Xavier Tillman played okay. David Roddy played okay. Scottie Pippen Jr. played okay. Gigi Jackson looked good. Are you a Gigi Jackson guy?
Honestly, I am. I feel like he still has that kind of mystery box upside. I feel like he's someone that can take on a ton of usage. It's going to be a roller coaster at times. I think there's going to be some nights where it's going to be just him and a bunch of 10-day contracts, and he's going to go 5 of 25 from the field one night, and then the next night he'll go 11 of 17 and put up like 30 points. You know what I mean? He's going to be a total wild card. The percentages are going to be rough. Turnovers are going to be rough. But in terms of just counting stats, I would say Gigi Jackson is probably the one I'm most excited about going forward among the fringe players in Memphis, even more than Vince Williams, honestly.
Wow. That's big. I'm way more excited about Vince than I am Gigi, but right. I like Gigi. I'm hopeful that Gigi lives up to the hype.
Right.
But I'm not. I'm all about Vince Williams. And I'm kind of also a little bit about Luke Kennard right now if he can get healthy. But
yeah, he's had those knee issues though, and the Grizzlies will milk that, Back-to-back set coming up. He's got left knee soreness. Sorry, you're out.
Yeah. So. They will. And I like Santi Aldama over Xavier Tillman personally.
I do too.
Okay. Let's talk Harry Barnes for a second. Harry B. In his previous 3 or 4 games before this little explosion he went on, he scored 3, 2, and 6 points or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then something weird happened, and he went off for 32 points, season high, last Monday. And then Thursday, I think he went off for 39. And then on the weekend, he had a 20-point game. And then last night, he had 12. What is happening? Why are the Kings suddenly turning to Harry Barnes? Why is Harry Barnes suddenly balling out? Do you have any idea?
I have a conspiracy theory.
Let's hear it.
I feel like he's seen his name in the rumor mill way too many times in the last 2-3 weeks. I think every article that Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports has put out has included Harry Barnes in there. I think Shams mentioned him at one point. Man, I think it's obvious he doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to get traded out of Sacramento. You know what I mean? I feel like he's really stepped up his game as a result, and his fantasy managers are obviously loving it. So that's my conspiracy theory. What about you?
Yeah, I mean that's the only thing I can figure, or that Sacramento is showcasing him now. Like, hey, get the ball to Harry. Let's show the people that the old man can still get it done. I also love the fact that we call him Harry.
I know.
I don't know a lot of people that call Harrison Barnes Harry, but I enjoy it. I always have. It's been one of my favorite pastimes since back in the old days. Have you paid attention to how? Well, let's go back to Harry for a second. Are you?
Yeah.
Would you pick up Harrison Barnes right now and stash him on your team?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I would. Yeah.
Yep. Same. I've got him on a team, actually.
Yeah.
Have you paid attention to how dreadful Josh Giddey has been in January?
Honestly, no. I hate every time I see him with the ball at the top of the key because I feel like the Thunder offense just kind of stagnates. But I only have him in like one league out of like 20 dynasty leagues I think I'm in. Not thrilled about it, obviously, with a lot of other things going on. But I just feel like he slows down the Thunder offense too much. I feel like if they make a big move in the next year or two, I think he's the piece that moves, honestly. What about you?
Well, the last time I looked at rankings, when I do my risers and fallers column for ESPN, and he was like the very last ranked player at the very bottom of the algorithm rankings list I was looking at. And his January numbers are just so bad. And then last night he had 13 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Like, there's nothing good about it. Wembanyama, like the announcers, like Wembanyama stuffed a Giddey shot attempt, and they were like, "Serious question, dude. Is that a block or a steal?" And the color guy was like, "Dude, I don't know. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's a block and a steal," because he just sort of took it out of his hand as he was shooting it.
And Josh Giddey's a big dude, man. Josh Giddey is a big dude. He'd be a power forward on most teams.
If Giddey shows up on waiver wires in your league, are you jumping on him immediately?
Oh, God. Honestly, I think I would, just because the waiver wire, leading up to deadline is pretty bare. You know what I mean? So I think right now I would, but after the trade deadline with all these new pickups that are going to come, I would say after the deadline, no. Now, yes, to be clear.
Well, people last week started asking about cutting Josh Giddey, and I was like, "Oh, you're crazy." And then I looked at the numbers. I was like, "Yeah, you're not crazy."
Yeah,
because he's been bad. But I'm still not going to drop him if I've got him. I'm just going to try not to play him if I can help it. Speaking of Victor Wembanyama, 22 points, 11 boards, 4 assists, a steal, 3 blocks. Devin Vassell last night, 24, 5 boards, 4 assists, a block, a 3. Have you been watching Wemby play basketball?
All the time. All the time. He's probably the favorite player to watch right now. It used to be JJJ. I have a new love. I'm sorry. Like, he's just too much fun to watch. And I've seen almost everyone, that I follow has him as number 1 dynasty pick next year. I think that's obvious. But where you take him in a redraft next year? Like, he's top 3 now. Has to be, right?
I mean, I don't know how you don't. And he's proven all these skeptics, oh, he's too skinny, he's not going to be able to play. I mean, Pop's been babying him, but yeah. I mean, the minutes count is back up. He played in back-to-back the other day. Like, I think he's going to play the whole season. And he's going to put on some weight in the offseason. I think he's going to pump some iron. And just the endless potential is everything we thought it was going to be. Like, it's too much fun.
Yeah.
And I'm with you, dude. Like, last night I had Luka on my TV on my left, and I had Wemby on my TV in front of me, and I watched both of them play basketball, and then I went to bed.
Yeah.
Like, I saw everything I needed to see. Staying with Spurs, Cedi Osman. 8 of 12, 4 3-pointers, 20 points, 3 boards, 2 steals, 2 assists. 2 steals. You know, a wise man once said, Jonas, that the Cedi pill is a tough one to swallow.
Yeah.
Would you ever take a Cedi pill?
We should probably phone in Matt Stroop here, but I mean, this has been your guy for the past 10 years, unfortunately, right? But
he's not really my guy, but yeah,
I know.
He's sort of my guy. Yeah.
Yeah. But I would say, along with the same the wavelength as the Harrison Barnes things, I think this is pure showcase, right? Trade deadline's coming up. Spurs are going to want to move some fringe veterans. I think Doug McDermott and Cedi Osman are the 2 key guys that are going to go, most likely for a 2nd round pick. Like nothing too crazy, but yeah, I do think they want to move those guys. And after last night, it's a great time to do it.
Yeah, and Cedi, I think, just got hot last night and just started knocking down threes. He's actually in my 30 team lineup
Nice.
instead of Jaden Hardy. And so I some nights the Cedi pills go down easier than others, and that was a good one. And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, I once told Matt Straub that the Cedi pill is a tough one to swallow, but sometimes you just have to suck it down. And we both started laughing so hard we were crying on the air. Jonas, do you have a minute to stick around and answer some viewer questions?
Sure. Pick a few. I got a few minutes.
All right. Let's see what we got. Let's start with this. I haven't read the whole question, but Sagar wants to know, would you drop Denny Avdija to add Harry Barnes or Derek Lively in a 12-team points league?
Well, I'll start with this. Why in the world is Derek Lively on your waiver wire? It doesn't matter the format. I think you should grab him immediately. The thing about this, though, is that I really like Avdija as well.
I do too.
I feel like Avdija and Lively are 2 must roster players. I think Harrison Barnes on the fringe, but surely he has someone else he can drop, because I want both Lively and Avdija.
Well, that leads us right into David's question. Thoughts on Avdija? I have him on a 9-cat 12 team, and he's been getting less playing time with the new coach. Should I be worried, Jonas?
Last few weeks has been rough, I will admit, but keep in mind, are the Wizards going to be buyers or sellers at the deadline? Sellers, right? Kuzma could be gone. Who knows what's going to happen with Jordan Poole? You know, they may wind him back a whole lot. But if they move a couple more fringe players, including their point guard, right? They got Jones there. Avdija, very, very capable playmaker. I still think he's going to be a really, really strong play down the stretch.
Well, and Denny was super hot there for a while. He was doubling and putting up really nice numbers. I've been trying to sell Camla on why I like Denny Avdija, and now he's kind of in a funk. I think he breaks out of it again. I'm not too worried about Denny. I wouldn't drop Denny to get to pick up Harrison Barnes. I think I'd stick with Denny.
Right.
But I might cut Denny to get Derek Lively, especially if I need a center.
For sure.
JJ Styles wants to know what's going on with Tari Eason. I've given up and moved on. He went on a 3-game run, got hurt, and we haven't really heard from him since. Where are you, Jonas?
Well, he's going to be cleared for contact this week, according to our latest RotoWire blurb. So I think now would be a good time to stash him. Yes, you are a little concerned that, Whitmore is really, really taken off, but keep in mind that Eason can play at least 3 positions, right? The Rockets are very versatile. I think now would be a good time to pick him up because he was really, really strong the beginning of the year. I
like that. I've moved on. I don't have time to wait for Tari Eason. If you can stash him on an IL spot, I'm good with that. I'm done. It hurts too much to think about. Brenda says I've held on Ike Okongwu all season, but now he's the last man on my roster. Do I hold him still for the trade deadline? Is Capella moving? I mean, my answer is, if you've held him this long, we're this close to the end of the road with Capella and the trade deadline, you got to hold him through February 8th.
Absolutely. And Doc, you're the Atlanta specialist. What are the chances Capella's traded? Give me a number.
68.
68%. All right, I'll go 90%. This is the end of the road. This is the end of the road for Capella. A lot of changes coming to Atlanta.
They need to make some changes, man. They're terrible.
Yep.
Awful. How do you feel about Io Dusumu's playing time with the Bulls? That's from Jerry Lynn. Jonas?
Still very sporadic. Keep in mind, though, Patrick Williams is going to be out through the All-Star break. I think the reevaluation date is 2 weeks. It doesn't mean he'll return right away. So I like Dosunmu a lot, but also keep in mind, Julian Phillips had a really, really strong game last night. I think he had 11 points in limited minutes. So I think he's definitely someone you want to watch very, very closely over the next couple of weeks. And keep in mind, too, Chicago could be sellers. That would help Phillips a lot.
Also, Alex Caruso, man, how good has he been?
Well, he'll be good until he gets hurt again, right? That dude is made of glass, so we'll see.
Threes, blocks, and steals, though. I mean, his blocks are it's crazy. He's been awesome. I'd rather have him right now than Io, but maybe.
I agree.
Maybe he's not available. That's the wrong one. Kyler, I didn't mean to click on that. Have you set up any DFS yet, Jonas?
It's too early in the day, man. It's too early in the day.
I haven't either. Let's see here. I was going to click on this one. Hello. Maybe. Hello from New Zealand. We do not use our waiver wire ads on the trade deadline. Do we not use our waiver wire ads on the trade deadline? And who are your top 3 to get traded? Clint Capella is up there. DeJounte Murray is up there for me. I mean, DeJounte Murray's gone, right?
He's gone. Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell, gone.
I was going to say Russell.
Did D'Angelo Russell and Hachimura get traded like 10 days ago when they were crying on the sideline? So, like, what was that all about, Jonas?
No idea. I feel like it was close, and I feel like they pulled the plug at the last second. We don't know where, but I do feel like something was agreed to in principle, and then they backed out, got cold feet. Yeah. Sometimes they leak things just to get a reaction from fans. You know, we've seen this many times before. They'll leak a trade that's almost done. They'll leak it out, see what everyone's talking about, and then they'll pull the plug. I've seen it many times.
So there's some trade guys. Who else is getting traded? Is Jordan Poole?
No, he has no value. He's a negative asset.
Who's going to trade for Jordan Poole?
No, I would say Royce O'Neal and Dorian Finney-Smith are 100% going to get traded. I think they'd be huge additions to a contender.
And Jonas, I think Wanua brings up a good point. Now's the time, and not really this week, but the deadline I think is February 8th. You want to have as many of your pickups left after the trade deadline as you could possibly have. So the couple days leading up to the trade deadline, you want to try to hold back and not make moves. Yeah. So you have your full arsenal to go make pickups once the deadline happens, whether it's a guy that got moved or a guy that benefits from somebody getting moved.
Yeah, when I first started fantasy like 10 years ago, Doc, I used to always stash a couple of players at the deadline, and it took me 10 years to realize that wasn't the move. You know, speculation kills, so it's better to just wait, keep those 2 or 3 ads, and just wait to the deadline and use that FAAB. So
the fab. Aditha is here every single week, Jonas, like clockwork.
I love it.
Eric Gordon or Max Strus, or are they both just streamers in a 12-team Yahoo league?
I would say Max is just a little more than a streamer, and I think Eric Gordon is definitely just streamer territory until Grayson Allen is fully cleared, I should say. But I like Max a lot more.
Man, Max was looking really good early in the season. He was boarding, he was scoring, he's banging threes. He still does some of that, but I'm kind of on Gordon until Grayson Allen is back. Strus is in Cleveland, right?
Yep.
And that's where our guy Merrill is, and Karis LeVert and all that. I don't know. I'm more on Gordon, but they're both sort of streamy to me.
Yeah, I agree.
It's Adith again. Luke Kennard's still a hold, his knee worries. Yeah, we talked about that. I don't know that I'm holding Luke Kennard. I'm not afraid to play Luke Kennard if he's going to play. Right?
I would say for now, yes, but I think it's fluid.
Here's a Ben Simmons sob story from Matt Carmody. I had Simmons stashed on my IR. Wanted to wait and see how he did. 12 games yesterday. I didn't need him. Hopefully that doesn't end up being his best or last game of the season, Matt. But we talked about that to kick off the show. I'm out on Simmons. He can go off from now till the end of the season, and I'll pretend like I don't care, even though it may really bother me. Jonas is kind of in. Jonas is good on him.
I'm in. I'm all the way in, Doc.
Brian B says, "Hey, Doc and Jonas, is it time to start thinking about picking up?" Now, I don't know if he's talking about Andrew or Aaron. Aaron's been playing a little more for the Thunder. He could benefit if Jalen is out. I assume he's talking about Andrew.
I think so too.
Warriors, who has actually been horrific all season long. He's been terrible.
The last couple of weeks, he's been better. I think the reintroduction of Draymond Green back in there has helped a lot. He's actually had success next to Kuminga for the first time all season too. So if there's ever a time for Wiggins to get it going, it's now, or else he's getting traded. So I would say yes.
Here's some good stuff.
Okay.
Can you rank my bottom players? I need to figure out who I can drop. Emmanuel Quickly, Kobe White, Wendell Carter, Brandon Williams, Josh Hart, Keegan Murray. That's tough, man.
I'll answer that question. You should not be dropping any of those players. I don't know what format you're playing in, but I can't imagine dropping any of those guys. Can you, Doc?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if I had to drop one of those guys, I don't know.
Yeah. I can't think of a single trade that would open up a player with value that would, pass these guys.
Unless that's like an 8-team league.
Right.
Which there are such things out there. In fact, I helped this kid draft a team. It's an ESPN like charity thing.
Yeah.
And it's an 8-team league, and we're an expert is teaming up with a kid to help them draft a fantasy team for the first time. Check out this starting 5, Jonas.
All right.
We only play 5 guys. I've got Joel Embiid, Victor Wembanyama, Damian Lillard, Kawhi Leonard, and James Harden.
Oh, man. Well, you're going to be fine until James Harden requested trade from your team. But other than that, that is just stacked.
Well, we screwed up, and I missed the fact that Joel Embiid was out last night. I could have played Brandon Miller instead. It's a points league. It killed me. But anyway, that's pretty fun. And then, okay, so we answered that question. There's another one here I really want to get to. Is this Brian B? This would be a good way to go out, Jonas. Brian B wants to know, who's your favorite player of all time, both current and retired?
Well, I grew up a Kobe fan. Love him to death. I think by far my most favorite player of all time is Kobe. I'd say currently, it's still Jaren Jackson Jr., but Wemby is closing in. Wemby is 100% closing in. He's just, eye candy every time you tune in. He just does something you've never seen before. So JJJ is still number one. He's dear to my heart. We got the nostalgia with him. But Doc, I know who you're going to say, but go ahead and say it. Who's yours?
Well, we're going to go with the human highlight film, Dominique Wilkins, as my favorite retired player. And my son and I got to hang out with him at the Hawks game the other night. This happened to be the same Hawks game that a gentleman that wears these shoes dropped 73 points on the Atlanta Hawks. That would be Luka Doncic. And I went from, Cam and I were talking last week, like, is Luka still really likable? Because he complains a lot and he got the fan thrown out and all that. But yeah, I'm still all in on Luka, dude. That was the best time I've ever had at an NBA basketball game. I've probably been to 500 of them. So they was right up there with I was at the Reggie Miller push off on Michael Jordan playoff game in Market Square Arena when that place exploded, and that was the coolest thing I've seen since then. Let's see if we can do one more. Can we? Nah, I don't like that's not really a question. Yeah, we'll do this. Flood Gaming says Andrew Nembhard. I mean, I think he should be rostered everywhere, right, Jonas?
Yeah, but I do think he's also a sell high, right? Pacers are going to get healthier real soon. All-Star break's coming up. Pacers could be buyers again at the deadline too. You never know. So I would still say he is a sell high, but if you have him right now, I think you're happy.
All right, click, subscribe, like, do all the things you can do with this pod. You can try RotoWire for free at rotowire.com/try. You should check it out. Cam and I say it all the time. Jonas says it all the time. I say it all the time. Not only are they covering NBA basketball and, of course, football, but they cover the sports that nobody else is covering, like women's basketball, stuff that I wouldn't be surprised if there's not pickleball content out there at some point in the next year. But, yeah, it's a great site. You should check it out. Jonas, thanks for coming on, man. It's good to see you. Good to catch up.
Always good seeing you, Doc. We'll do this again soon.
I'll let you go back to work. And, yeah, if I do this Wednesday pod thing on my own, you're going to be one of my first phone calls.
Love it. Good deal, man.
I'll be back on Thursday with Rick Kama, and then I'll be back next Tuesday, same time, same place, with another special guest. This has been the Roto World Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Thank you for coming.